politics and schemes. Fringeland's the place for the wildest dreams.
Welcome to Fringeland, where we meet people on the very edge of our society, and sometimes reality. Tonight, we're talking about home invasions, safety, and a surprising new security threat you probably haven't heard of. My guest is John Payne, founder of Studio City Security Solutions, who says he has a bold plan to keep Angelenos safe in their homes. This is Fringeland. Let's begin. Welcome to the show, John. It's great to have you here.
Thanks you, Douglas. I'm a big fan of Fringeland and excited to be on here and talk about what we do at Studio City Security Solutions.
Well, I think if you asked most Angelenos what keeps them up at night, it would be the idea of a home invasion happening to them.
That's right.
And my understanding, what my producers told me, is that Studio City Security Solutions, I apologize for getting the name wrong.
Can we take that again, maybe?
This is exactly what you do. This is your specialty, is helping people avoid that terrifying situation where somebody comes into your home and tries to steal your stuff, or God forbid, something even worse.
Yeah, Studio City Security Solutions. Douglas, I appreciate it. We'll get the name right.
Of
we
course.
do have a website that you can join. We have coffee mugs, keychains, everything to help promote this idea that us Angelenos, natives here to California, we're saying no to home invasions. You're saying no. We ain't gonna allow it. We don't want it to happen.
While we all think we have an idea about what a problem home invasions actually is, can you share some of the statistics with us about this plight on our society of people breaking in, burglarizing people's homes? How common is this really in Los Angeles?
We'll put it this way. In the first half of 2024, reported burglary incidents rose by approximately 6.4% compared to that same period in 2023, with around 4,300 burglaries reported. Some specific neighborhoods like Encino, we usually quiet enclaves, saw a shocking 40% spike in violent break-ins, including a tragic home invasion murder that happened.
It sounds like what you're saying, John, is that even the quietest and supposedly safest neighborhoods are still a potential target for burglars. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. In fact, robbers are targeting these neighborhoods specifically because they got the best stuff. And that's really what they want. They're not going to break into their own neighborhood.
No.
If they're unhoused, let's say, they're not going to go break into their neighbor's cardboard box, take their empty bottles of liquor and shoe polish. There's no value on the street market for that kind of stuff. But what they're going to do is they're going to go to Encino and they're going to find a home that's got Christmas lights up on it, because Christmas lights means presents. Presents are under the tree. That's a home that's got little money. Then that's going to be a lot more appealing to them.
Well, let me ask you this, John. There are some things that I think are fairly common knowledge. For example, if you're going out of town, you shouldn't post that on social media, and you should put your lights on a timer to give the appearance that you're home all the time. Is that something that people should do?
Yeah, and I even take it a step further. At Studio City Security Solutions, we actually recommend more than just a timer. We recommend a rotating timer.
A rotating
what
timer.
What that is if your lights come on every night at 8 p.m., eventually they're going to figure out that schedulers. They're getting sophisticated now. They do this now. They'll drive down your street. They'll take notes of when your lights go on, and then they'll post that on the dark web.
Oh, no.
And they'll put that information out there, and anybody who's out on the dark web looking for things like, toilet videos or spy cam videos or any kind of voyeuristic material on the dark web, they're going to actually encounter your light schedule, and they're going to know, hey, if them lights are on at 8, they're not actually home. This is just a light timer. So rotate that time so it's not always at 8 p.m. Maybe it's 8:05, 8:15. That's going to make that person out there taking notes to say, hey, wait a minute, maybe they are home. I'm not going to post this on the dark web.
I see. You mentioned the dark web there just a second ago. Now, I've heard of the dark web. I don't know a lot about it, but is the dark web fueling this rise in burglaries and break-ins? Is this something that we as citizens need to watch out for? And how can we protect ourselves from the dark web?
Absolutely. Somebody goes on the dark web looking for, pee videos. They're looking for poo videos. They're looking for voyeuristic content, changing rooms, bathrooms. And while they're in those chat groups, they're going to encounter your light schedule. And they're going to say, oh, well, I came here for toilet videos, but now that I found, Douglas's light schedule, I know that he might be in Costa Rica and his possessions are now available to me and my crew, and we can, comb through that chimney like Santa Claus, just a little levity. But we can go ahead and break in your house now and get your stuff because we were on the dark web looking at, all kinds of things, poo videos, ball torture, anything like that, that someone might be looking for hypothetically on the dark web, and then we're going to find your light schedule, know that you're not home.
My producer just sent me a note that he'd like us to not talk about some of these chat rooms on the dark web anymore that we brought up. This is a family show. We're on nationwide radio. So we want to not give anyone ideas about going on the dark web and looking up the kind of content you mentioned. But I do want to go back to this idea of a rotating light schedule. I understand that Studio City Security Solutions actually sells a product like this that people can put on their home that does rotate the light schedule, as you said, to keep it. And I don't want to dive into this again, but the dark web.
That's right.
And keeps it off there. If we do this, is this correct?
That's right. Suppose somebody goes up there looking for, men dressed as Disney characters or something like that, or
feel like
videos or videos, something like that. They're going to encounter your information. So I understand that your producer doesn't want to talk about the dark web, but really this is where the threat is coming from. This is ground zero for home invasions. There's somebody on there looking for twinks, looking for mandresses, fairies, for perhaps. These are the kind of things that are going to drive people to find your light schedule. So I respect your show that you don't want to talk about this, but I'm telling you, this is where the threat is you're going on there, you're looking for things like changing room videos. You're going to encounter other things like Douglas's light schedule.
I think we should give it away from the dark web.
It's your show, Douglas.
And maybe something else you could tell our audience that they can do to be prepared in case of a home invasion, something that will keep them safe. What's the most important thing that's not about the dark web that people can do right now?
The most important thing you can do, and I tell this to everybody, it's on our website as the number one thing that you need to do. Studio Security Solutions.biz is where you can go to find this. The most important thing that anybody can do, especially if you have a family, is to get really familiar with your wife's menstrual schedule.
Wait a minute. What did you say? Her menstrual schedule?
That's right, Douglas. The pheromones of the female in her moon is incredibly attractive, and the unhoused will flock to it like a moth to flame.
I don't
Once
think
that
that's
scent is out there, your home is now a target. And so you need to know when that is. I recommend bare minimum, put it in your iPhone. It's like, okay, it's lady time. That means that the walkers are going to be out, and my home is a target because those pheromones are in the air, and they're going to start, like zombies in The Walking Dead, they're going to start making their way to your house when they detect that pheromone in the air.
John, I'm really glad you came on.
Well, my pleasure.
But I'm a little concerned about some of the things you're saying. I've never heard that
I'm an expert.
The pheromones of a woman's menstrual cycle can attract the unhoused to your house.
Like a
that
moth to flame.
Sounds a little conspiratorial and maybe a little dangerous for how we view the unhoused. I think we should try to see them with compassion and not as walkers or zombies or some kind of existential threat, which sounds like what you're proposing they are.
This is just what the data tells us, Doug.
I see.
Until your wife has reached menopause and is no longer menstruating, your family is in danger once a month.
I don't think that's right.
It's Shark Week, as my wife Petunia says. When it's Shark Week, you better watch out because the unhoused are going to start creeping like those zombies in the Thriller video, Michael Jackson. Just a little levity. They're going to start making their way towards your house, and you've got to be prepared But when that happens, that's when you need to batten down the hatches. I don't know if you saw the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith, but you remember when the zombie horde is out, he barricades his home, he barricades it. That's what we're recommending at Studio City Security Solutions, as that when your wife is on her moon, that is when you need to be most vigilant for home invasions.
Well, again, my producer is asking that we not talk about the dark web or women's demonstrating. This is, again, a family show. This is a nationwide broadcast. There are people of all ages listening to this. And really what I think we need is practical solutions. I know Studio City Security Solutions offers a number of products that are practical, but have nothing to do with the dark web, I'm assuming. And maybe we could talk about some of those, like things like padlocks. Do you sell things like that?
Well, that's right. We do sell padlocks, and that will determine when your wife is on her moon. That is why that's the pad part, right? When is she on the pad? We sell technology that can detect when your wife is on her pad, and it'll lock in on that and track it. So it's a padlock.
I'm going to go against my better judgment here because I am curious. What is a padlock in the way that you were describing it, and how does it detect if my wife, as you say, is on her moon?
On her moon, that's right.
Well, how does it do that exactly? Again, my producer Rory is begging me not to go down this lane, but I am curious.
At Studio City Security Solutions, we say forewarned is forearmed. That's why we invented the padlock. And it's a very simple device. Basically, it's a small camera that goes in your toilet, in the bowl, under the rim, and it will detect the fluids that are coming out. And it could be poo, it could be pee,
again, I don't understand why the conversation keeps coming back to bodily fluids and the dark web.
Just about safety, just safety.
And now you're saying that Studio City Security Solutions,
Studio
I'm sorry,
City.
I got that name wrong again.
Please try harder.
You want me to put a camera in my wife's toilet?
Yes, do it immediately, please.
Do what exactly?
We're going to track her cycles. It's very simple. It's very scientific. And when that camera detects something that is like menstrual fluid, it's going to send an alert to our servers. It's going to upload that video. And then you're going to get an alert on your phone from me that says, hey, Doug, heads up, your wife is on her period.
I have to say, John, the direction this conversation has gone has been a little surprising. At least
we
started talking about the dark web.
That's right.
And this idea of chat rooms for people with fetishes about, you know, as you said, pee videos. I'm very sorry to our listeners. I promise you we're going to stop talking about this soon. But now you want me to put a camera in my wife's toilet, which for you is going to upload a video to your servers. You're going to have video on your servers of my wife and anyone in our home using a toilet. Is that what you're suggesting?
That's right. The dark web hosts many dangers, but this is really more about the public health surveillance. And it's better to have videos of your bowel movements, your pee, and your menstruation on our servers, a secure server. It's in our offices, and it is locked up. There's a door with a key that only I have, and Petunia has the other key. But we will store those videos in a safe place on our hard drives. We back them up in the cloud, and we make sure that those videos are properly inspected to make sure that, yes, I do see some menstrual fluid. It must be time. I'm going to go ahead and text Doug and say, hey, batten down the hatches.
My producer Rory is now waving his arms frantically and asking me to cut this conversation short.
Well,
I would like to get away from the topic of fluids, the dark web.
Just a camera.
I'm going to give you one more chance, John. I really want to be fair with you and give Studio City Security Solutions fair shake here on Fringeland. Can you please talk about something else? Can we get off this topic completely? I know there are other topics about security that are important as well. So if you could talk about something else that is not about bodily fluids, not about the dark web, just practical home safety tips from your company, I think it would help our audience and it might help get this conversation back on track. Otherwise, and my producer Rory is now holding up a sign, we are going to have to cut this conversation off if we go back to the bodily fluids or the dark web or any of those chat rooms that you mentioned earlier.
I understand, Doug, this is a scary topic and it's sometimes not pleasant to listen to, but being prepared is worth it, I promise you, in the end. But it is your show. I want to be respectful too. So let's talk about something not related to bodily fluids.
Thank you.
Not related to menstrual cycles
Thank
or
you.
chat rooms about
That's
pee
enough.
videos, poo videos, changing
Yeah,
rooms, porta potties.
don't list them, please.
Anything like that. Let's talk about just practical home security solutions. And that's why I really want to talk about our other product, which is about the detection of pathogens in your water supply. I want to talk about diarrhea. Now, diarrhea is full of pathogens. And when a woman is on her moon, her diarrhea is especially toxic. And that can infect your water supply. It can infect my water supply. And suddenly we don't have water. So let's say when the unhoused come because they're detected by your wife's pathogens and by the fragrances and the pheromones that she puts out in the air, your drinking supply has now been compromised because of her diarrhea. And so we have a product which will help you understand when that pathogen exists and when you need to store up fresh drinking water. We recommend at least 12 gallons. The rule of thumb is 1 gallon per day per person in your household. So when that diarrhea is noticed, you need to start switching over to the bottled water, to the filtered water that you keep for such situations. And we have a product that will help with that.
My producer Rory has his fingers on the cut button, which is going to take us off the air.
That's too bad.
We've come back again to the concept of talking about bodily fluids, which I don't think is relevant to home safety. You did mention storing fresh drinking water, which I think is more for disaster preparedness than a home invasion. I've never heard of somebody's water supply being contaminated by diarrhea. That doesn't even seem possible because we don't drink out of the toilet. So I don't know how that would get into the water supply. I'm pretty sure those are separate plumbing systems.
But
I'm going to, Rory, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry, but I want to give John a fair shot here on Fringeland. John, please explain to me how you detect these pathogens and if it's a camera.
Well,
can we just stop the interview now? So if it's a camera, say it's a camera and we're just gonna, or you can hit the done button and we're gonna go to a commercial. If it's not a camera, if it's a real practical solution for home safety, please tell to our audience, let them know how much it costs. But please, let's not talk about cameras and toilets if we can do that.
Yeah, it's not a camera. I wouldn't call it that. It's more of an optical recording device that captures images and pieces them together in a sequence to make a motion picture, I guess you could say.
Okay, this sounds like another camera, and
none
of these safety advice, these items that you mentioned, anyway, seem like they're going to make anybody safer. In fact, it sounds like maybe you're the one monitoring the dark web for some of these topics you mentioned earlier, and that there aren't light schedules out there. Am I off on that when I say that?
We are definitely off on that, and I can do a quick demonstration to show you what I'm talking about. Believe me, I've heard the skeptics before, I've heard the doubters before. Let me show you how real the threat really is, okay? And then if you still want to quit the show, we can quit the show. I'll play a quick video for you now. Douglas, tell me, what do you see on this video that we are sharing right now? And I assume that your listeners can see this on Fringeland.com. What do you see in this video?
I see a house. Looks like night vision cameras. There's lights on. Wait a minute. That? Please, John Payne from Studio City Security Solutions.
Security Solutions, that's right.
That looks a little bit like my house. Please tell me. Please tell me. That is not my house. That is being recorded right now.
That is exactly the point I've been trying to make, Douglas, this whole show, is that even when we think we're safe,
please take that down.
Your house was recorded the last 2 weeks by me, and I'm taking track of your lighting schedule to show you how vulnerable we are when we put our guard down. Now, I could take this video, and I have, and I made a spreadsheet that says Douglas's light schedule.
No, please
and
don't.
I posted it up on the dark web,
No.
and some P channels and some no channels,
no.
and some
Don't
man dressed as
list the
fairies
channels,
channel.
please.
And I posted it to see, and guess what? It has no views yet, but it will. That's the point. That's why I did this, Douglas. You're welcome. Now you get it, and I hope your listeners get it too. This is a serious problem, and you need to take it seriously.
Okay, John, this conversation is over. I've disconnected you from this chat. To my producer, Rory, I'm sorry. You were right. I should not have continued this conversation. I should have listened to you. I know we talked about this at the team summit, but I took a chance and I was wrong. So would you please take this video down of my home that this man, John Payne from Studio City Security Solutions, which I would not recommend anybody call, I'm sorry to say, based on what I hear. It sounds like this person's actually more of a threat than the unhoused that they claim to be helping us from. So, Rory, the image is still up. The video's still up. Please take the video down, Rory. Take the video down, Rory.
Welcome to Fringeland, where the lines get blurred, where the odd and the unheard finally get their word. Aliens and outlaws, politics and schemes. Fringeland's the place for the wildest dreams.